I've just listened to Jeremy Corbyn's speech to the Labour Party conference in Brighton. It was a bit of a bum-numbing speech, wasn't it? About 75 minutes long, which is much longer than most political leaders' speeches. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to analyse the politics from it because I'm not a political analyst. I'm a speech coach and speech trainer and professional speaker. So I'm going to look at the technical aspects of his speech. How did he do in technical terms? Well, pretty decent, I thought. I say it was a long speech, but he maintained the pace. There were a couple of areas where it sort of fell back a little bit, but in sections, he had a lot of energy and was performing very well. And he knew how to use what we call a clap trap, where you lead up to a crescendo and you know that that's going to lead to a round of applause in the audience, and you can then pause and take stock and move on to the next section of your speech. He used one of those, for example, to introduce Diane Abbott and say that he was very proud of the way that she'd handled all the online abuse that she'd suffered through the election campaign. She got a round of applause, standing ovation, and the crowd started to sing happy birthday to her. And to his credit, Jeremy Corbyn joined in at the podium, at the lectern rather, and he was then able to pick up his speech afterwards and even say to the crowd, "You stole my line." So I thought he was able to ad-lib, he was able to drop out of his prepared text and then come back in, and that's the mark of a good speaker. He also had a section where he used the word ready over and over again, about 10 times repeatedly in a couple of minutes, which was a message. And the other thing I would say, it didn't have a strong through message as far as I was concerned. I like speeches to have a theme that you can pick up on and then you know exactly what's happening, and that comes in at the beginning. There's a theme through it and it comes back at the end. It didn't really have that. He talked about Labour being a government in waiting. He talked about being ready. Obviously had the dips at the Tories. His comic timing was better than before. So in terms of delivering the gags and the punchlines, obviously that had all been written for him, he did pretty well. So I think overall it was a decent performance. It was certainly the best speech I've seen him deliver as Labour Party leader. Whether it's an election-winning speech next time round, we'll have to wait and see. We haven't got an election on the horizon as yet. So it was a decent speech. It left out some things, it included some other things, but as I say, it was quite long. In terms of the party faithful, I think it worked incredibly well. They were chanting his name before he came on stage. There was a standing ovation afterwards. I'm sure he'll get a lot of praise from his own loyal supporters. Will it work for the people outside? Well, political speeches perhaps aren't as effective as they used to be, but nevertheless, it'll be analysed and the sound bites will be taken out and used on the news later today and tomorrow. So I thought it was a decent speech. I thought it was his best speech. In terms of how it rated, I'm going to rate him 7 out of 10.